first match. So there's 300 or 400 people that come for the lighting ceremony, which you're very familiar with. And it's been years of preparation. And there's a certain excitement that everyone's coming because it's going to be, the firing's going to start, and it's very celebratory. And people have brought many gifts for that firing to be successful. When you light that first match, there is no going back. And that means when the first match is lit and that small little flame begins, you as a human being have lost all control. You have offered now all of your time up for something you have no control over, in a sense. So then it's becoming then how to nurture, how to feed the firing, making sure that, I think the scariest part is people say, how was the firing? How did firing go after it's all over? And my answer I now use all the time is that as long as no one gets hurt and everyone is well fed, then it's a great firing. Because if the moment that you have expectations of what it's going to look like on the other end, it's time to get a different career. The moment that you think, I know this is going to come out just like this, time to get a different career. Because that's, and one of the things, you can try and explain it as best as possible, and the apprentices have heard this dozens and dozens of times. It's 1/3 the artist being able to speak. It's 1/3 the material being able to speak. The suchiaji, the taste of the clay. That the clay actually has a chance to say something that we just dismiss once it, and then it's the firing is the other third. How the firing also decides. So if you keep that 1/3 whole and allow the other 2/3 to live, then it's a lot easier not to have any expectations. So for your particular convocation, you're doing the best you can to give the best presentations, the best metaphors, the best holisms, but the other 2/3, you don't have any control over. How the information gets taken back to the communities, how the people take that information. So you have to, your expectations are different. So then the firing is that you have to really listen to Mother Earth very carefully, and that is so hard. We do not educate, and it's so still hard for me, we do not educate young people to listen to the earth. So like when I'm at the kiln shed, I'm walking around, everybody's watching the fire, doing the stoking. I'm watching around, looking where the wind is blowing. I'm listening to sounds of the firing. I'm listening to how at nighttime the barometric pressure is pushing down. You have to listen to all of those environmental cues. And that's why we don't use parameters or electronics or some sort of idea of a schedule. We have an idea of a schedule, because we kind of know that we absolutely run out of energy in 10 days, human energy. We are so tired that we just can't go much longer than 10 days. I've been to longer firings, but that's as a young person. And an older person was worrying continuously. So, and then the end chamber, the Tanagashima, can be pretty frightening because you're really looking into the flame and you're putting with a leather glove into the flame at 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. And for those individuals, for their first experiences, that's something most people don't experience. But I try to remind people about the fact that I have yet met a ceramic artist, a potter, who's done wood firing that isn't anti-nuclear. Because there's a point, and it's usually in the second chamber, where the firebox gets so hot that you can toss a piece of wood in, and by the time it reaches the other side of it's already charcoal. And that's about 2/3 the heat of a nuclear weapon going off. We're at 2,560 degrees Fahrenheit. Nuclear weapons go off at 3,263 degrees Fahrenheit. So there's a certain kind of nausea that I feel when you reach that threshold where that the pots are starting to waver. You can see them just ready to collapse into the fire, and they're being pulled into the firings. And you can see it up on top, you can see the glazes moving, and you can see all this. And there's, it's white heat in there, and there's this internal system that says you can't go further. It's impressed in us. And we've taken that out of human beings, that ability to judge when you've gone too far.